want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take.
That was President Trump on the day U.S. military forces captured the former Venezuelan leader Nicolás Maduro 3 months ago. Maduro had been in power since 2013 and at the time was serving his third term despite widely held doubts about the validity of the most recent election. He and his wife have both pleaded not guilty to drug-related charges. They're being held separately at a federal detention center in Brooklyn, New York. No trial date has been set. Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodríguez, has taken over as Venezuela's acting leader. President Trump said last month she was, quote, doing a great job. And on Wednesday, he said the U.S. and Venezuela were working incredibly well together. CBS News national correspondent Lilia Luciano joins us now. You are in Venezuela 2 months after Maduro's removal, and you've been covering this very closely. What did you see? What has changed?
Lindsay, I think January 3rd, when you're in Venezuela, is talked about to the degree that we would talk about, big milestones or big holidays in the U.S., depending on who you ask. For some, the people who support Maduro, is a tragedy. For others, the opposition people, it's a big celebration. It's a big day. There was a before and after. Immediately after January 3rd, there was a tripling of the repression. People were truly afraid of the figures of the regime. You had the paramilitary groups that were taking people's cell phones. There was a lot of fear, but that has since calmed down greatly. Right now, or what I saw a month ago when I was in Venezuela walking around Caracas, is a place that's still struggling with incredible inflation. Their systems are still collapsed. I mean, you're not yet seeing the money that is coming in from that oil sector, from those U.S. investments, the billions of dollars. You're not seeing it in people's everyday lives. But there is this sense, as I mentioned when I was there, of just optimism, of trust, or at least of patience from all sides. The Chavistas, the people who support Maduro, kept telling me, look, we think that he might still come back. He could be tried and declared innocent in the United States and come back to rule. The people of the opposition are saying we understand that it couldn't be day to night. Suddenly the opposition is going to rise to power. As you mentioned, that election was not just challenged. All of the international observers, I was there covering that election, and I remember the international observers running away from the hotel before giving the results, recognizing not just irregularities, but really that that it was the opposition who won. Later on, they showed the evidence. Most of the global community recognized that Maduro lost that election.
Let's play some of your reporting from 2024.
Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado was banned by the government from running for president earlier this year, and she says it was her proxy, presidential candidate Edmundo González, who, according to their latest tallies, was ahead by 40 points.
How do you describe these results that were announced? It's a grotesque violation of the popular will, and everybody knows it.
So it's been very dissonant for the people who support the opposition, for those 70% of Venezuelans who voted and elected Edmundo González Urrutia, to see that day happen, that Maduro is no longer in power, that he's in prison, but that his number two is still running the country. The thing with the opposition and what Maria Corina Machado is doing now is preparing for an eventual process of democracy. She met with Marco Rubio this week, with our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. He is, it seems, giving her a sense of, we are still supporting you, potentially asking for patience. We don't know the exact details, and I've been trying to find out of exactly what was discussed. But she has been saying to U.S. Oil companies, inviting them to invest in Venezuela, and really striking the difference between what is happening now and the future that she promises. But she's not in Venezuela yet. The opposition there, at least the majority of the political prisoners, have been released. They're perhaps quietly organizing, but they're organizing under these structures of power of the regime that had oppressed them for decades. So it's a very different situation to anything that I've covered and that has happened in many countries. Importantly, it's very different from Iran. There's no boots on the ground. There's pressure. There's diplomatic pressure. There's now the embassies open. There's diplomatic relations that have been restored. But the United States didn't, civilians didn't die. It wasn't an invasion. It was an extraction of Nicolás Maduro.
Keep us posted, okay?
Absolutely.
Lilia Luciano, thank you.